Hey everyone, and welcome. For all you diploma students tuning in, today we are totally demystifying topic 1 of your DPB 2042 module. We're talking about the overview of information systems. In this explainer, we're going to strip away all the dense jargon and just hand you the core foundational concepts you need. The goal here is for you to walk into those exams and honestly your future tech careers with absolute confidence. So, let's just get right into it.
Quick question before we really dive in. Do you think information technology and information systems are exactly the same thing? Be honest. Well, if you said yes, don't sweat it. You are definitely not alone there. Actually, scratch that. It's literally the most common mix-up I see when students are just starting out. But here's the secret. They are entirely different beasts, and getting a grip on that difference is your very first step to mastering this whole field.
Here is the quick rundown for today's explainer. First, IT versus IS. Second, the computing evolution. Third, the IPO framework. And fourth, the 5 pillars of IS.
All right, section 1, IT versus IS.
Think of this whole thing like building a house. IT, information technology, well, that's your hammer, your nails, and your wood. It's the hardware, the software, the networks, basically the physical tools. But an information system, IS, that is the actual finished house that keeps the rain off your head. IS is the interrelated bridge of components that collect, process, store, and distribute information to help a business actually make decisions. So IT provides the tools, but IS is how people use those tools to pull off a goal, like an airline reservation system working flawlessly to keep thousands of flights running right on time.
Moving right along, section 2, the computing evolution. It's kind of wild to look back, but IT infrastructure has completely transformed across 5 major eras over the decades. We've got 1959 starting off with mainframes, then 81 bringing us personal computers, 83 kicking off the client-server era, 92 linking things up with enterprise computing, and finally around the year 2000, we hit the cloud and mobile era. It's a really fascinating story of computing power decentralizing and constantly shrinking down. So let's jump back to 1959. The mainframe. This was the very first commercial computer. And look, forget that sleek, lightweight laptop you've got on your desk right now. These machines were literally the size of entire rooms. Just massive, centralized hubs running super powerful operating systems that supported thousands of remote, text-only terminals. Now, eventually, this setup evolved into slightly smaller mini-computers. That was a big deal because it allowed individual corporate departments to finally have their own customized computing power without, having to wait in line for the company's one giant mainframe. Then, 1981 rolls around and absolutely flips the script. Computing power shrank way down and landed right on the corporate desk. The personal computer era was just total technological liberation for the everyday worker. It brought absolute game changers, like word processors and spreadsheets, to the masses. Sure, it was initially through clunky DOS commands, but it quickly evolved into those sleek Microsoft Windows and Mac interfaces we know. Suddenly, anyone could compute. But here's the thing. Those individual standalone PCs, they really needed to talk to each other to be truly useful for a business. So enter the 1983 client-server era. In this setup, your desktop is the client. The entry point, it connects to a centralized server computer that processes and stores shared data. This was a massive shift because it let businesses distribute their computing work across tons of cheap machines, dramatically lowering costs compared to those old massive mainframe systems. And by 1992, enterprise computing linked all these smaller networks together so information could just flow freely across an entire organization.
Which, of course, brings us to today, cloud and mobile computing. The heavy lifting is pretty much invisible to us now. Hundreds of thousands of computers sit in these massive cloud data centers, and they just deliver storage and apps seamlessly over the internet. You definitely don't need a massive hard drive on your desk anymore. You can literally run a whole business from a smartphone while sitting on a beach anywhere in the world.
All right, on to section 3, the IPO framework. Now we are getting under the hood. Every single information system, and I mean whether it's a super basic calculator app or a massively complex global hospital management network, relies on one fundamental flow. We call it the Input Process Output Framework, or just IPO for short. This is the absolute heartbeat of the system. It's basically a simple 3-step dance. Step 1, input. Raw data enters the system. Step 2, process. The system takes that data and transforms it into something actually meaningful. And step 3, Output, you get your final actionable result. Think about hitting up an ATM. You input your PIN and how much money you want, right? Then the bank system processes that by running a security check and looking at your account balance. Finally, the output is crisp cash in your hand. Raw resources go in, they get transformed, and they emerge as an actionable outcome.
Next up, Section 4, the 5 pillars of IS. So an information system isn't just a single standalone thing, or one isolated piece of software. It's an entire interconnected ecosystem. Think of it like a giant puzzle. These 5 distinct pieces absolutely must snap together perfectly for the system to actually work. If you take even one piece away, the whole structure just collapses.
Here are the 5 pieces: hardware, the physical machines; software, the instructions; data, the raw facts; people, the users; and process, the actual business procedures being followed. Now listen, for all of you diploma students getting ready to step into the actual workforce, this right here is your most important takeaway. The people and the processes, they are just as crucial, if not more so, than the technology itself. Seriously, $1 million software system is totally useless if your team isn't properly trained to use it, or if the underlying business rules are fundamentally broken.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I've got a final challenge for you, directly tied to your class activities. Try mapping these 5 components out for a real-world business, let's say an online food delivery app. Who exactly are the people? What is the hardware involved? How do the processes ensure your dinner actually arrives hot? Try sketching it all out. Mastering this module means realizing that while technology is literally everywhere, it's the systems that actually run the world. So next time you tap your screen to order a pizza, ask yourself, who is really in control here, you or the system? See you next time.